My mom didn't call ahead, didn't even pause. She just looked me straight in the eye across the kitchen table and said, "Your sister's wedding is the family's priority. We won't be coming to yours." No emotion, no hesitation. Just cold matter of fact. My dad stared down at his hands, silent. Kendra gave a little smile, like it didn't mean anything. I left their house carrying every forgotten birthday, every overlooked graduation, every time they told me to be understanding. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. That night, I just stepped into the kind of life they never cared enough to ask about. One decision, and their so-called family priorities finally forced them to see me. I grew up in a home where love was handed out based on convenience. If something made life easier for my parents, it was automatically considered fair. And somehow the easy choice was always Kendra, my younger sister. She was the golden child, the effortless one, the reason they threw little parties for getting a B+. I figured out pretty early that when I did something great, it was nice. When Kendra did something half-decent, it became a family event. You'd think that kind of favoritism fades as you get older, but it doesn't. Just goes quiet. Cuts deeper. I still remember being 16 and watching my mom literally trim a family photo to make it fit the frame. She sliced off the edge. My shoulder stayed in the shot, but my face didn't. She laughed and said, "Oh honey, you're still there." Like that made it better. Then she moved on. Like erasing me from a picture didn't mean a thing. I stared at the cut edge for a long time that day. That was the moment I realized I could give everything I had, work harder, shine brighter, and still be the part someone didn't mind cutting out. Maybe that's why I pushed so hard later. Why I chased every scholarship, worked late nights building a supply chain platform from nothing, kept going even when investors brushed me off. Success became the one place where no one could crop me out. And when that company finally made it, when the numbers were real and I sold it for more money than anyone in my hometown could imagine, I didn't rush to tell my parents. I sat in my quiet apartment and let the silence say everything. Some people only show up when your success fits into the version of you they already understand. Mine never did. Still, I thought maybe my wedding would be different. Adrian Steady wore. He was the first person who ever made me feel like I didn't need to earn my place just to belong. Asked me to marry him in the calmest, kindest way. I spent months planning everything. Sent the invitations myself. Slit pressed olive leaves into each envelope. I handed one to my parents personally. They smiled, but their eyes were already drifting to the TV. "Of course we'll be there," my mom said, like someone promising to drink more water next week. For weeks, I let myself imagine us all together again just once. One day where I wouldn't be the afterthought. Then Kendra announced her wedding. Same month. Same weekend. Eventually the exact same day. She called it fate. My parents called it practical. I called it the moment I stopped pretending we were a family that actually cared about what mattered to me. The first real fracture hit 2 weeks after Kendra shared her date. I was in my workroom finalizing the seating chart when my mom called. Her voice had that sweet, rehearsed softness she always used right before choosing Kendra over me. "Sweetheart, we've been talking. Kendra's fiancé's family can only do that weekend. You know how sensitive she is. Could you adjust yours?" Adjust. Like my wedding was a couch that needed to be moved around. Like I hadn't been planning for months. I swallowed and kept my voice steady. The invitations already went out. There was a pause. Thin. Careful. "You're strong, Amber. You'll understand," she said. "Your sister would fall apart if we didn't go to hers." I just sat there, staring out the window as dusk settled over the skyline. It wasn't the request that hurt the most. It was how expected it all felt. Like a script we'd rehearsed for years. Kendra wants something, and the rest of us rearrange ourselves to make room. Even if that means pushing me right out of the picture. Later that night my dad called. His voice carried that worn-out mix of guilt and surrender. "You know how your mother gets," he said. "If we choose your wedding, Kendra will take it personally. You'll be fine." There it was. That line. The one I'd heard all my life. "You'll be fine." Part comfort, part dismissal. Like they couldn't be bothered to figure out which one it really was. The days that followed were filled with shallow conversations, words balanced on edge, never touching the truth. Then Kendra texted me. "Isn't it wild? Our weddings are on the same day. It's like the universe aligned us." I stared at it for a long time. Typed out 3 different replies. Deleted all of them. Left it on read. What was I supposed to say? She didn't get it. She never had to. Her joy had always taken up all the space in the room. There was never a time when she had to ask, "Is there room for me too?" The real breaking point didn't crash in with drama. It came quietly, slipped in like it was just another message. Wednesday night. My mom again. After discussing it, we've decided we can't attend your ceremony. Too much back and forth. We hope you understand. That was it. No sorry. No regret. Just travel logistics, ironically my own area of expertise, used as the excuse for leaving me behind. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone screen lighting up the dark, my pulse calm and steady. Surprised me. I thought I'd cry. But I didn't. All I felt was something old and familiar rising inside me. Something sharp and clear. I texted back. That's fine. But I knew the truth even as I hit send. This wasn't closure. This was the beginning. The moment something in me didn't bend anymore, it broke clean. That night, with Adrian asleep down the hall and the house wrapped in quiet, I opened my laptop. Scrolled through names I hadn't contacted in years. Rachel. Aunt Marion. Eli. People who'd watched the imbalance unfold for decades, but had never said it out loud. And for the first time I didn't feel like a little girl begging for a seat at the table. I felt like a grown woman deciding who deserved to sit beside her. And it wasn't my parents. The day it all truly collapsed looked like any other. No slammed doors. No yelling. Just morning sunlight stretching across the kitchen counter. And a truth I couldn't unsee anymore. I reread my mom's message. We hope you understand. Until the words blurred. Not once had they asked how I felt. Not once did they stop to think what it meant to skip their daughter's wedding in favor of what was easier. And the more I sat with it, the more I saw it clearly. The collapse wasn't happening now. It had been happening all along. This was just the moment I stopped pretending it wasn't. I drove out to the edge of the city, to a quiet overlook where the air felt big enough to breathe in. Adrian met me there, carrying 2 mugs of tea. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. He knew silence could be its own kind of kindness. They didn't even hesitate, I said softly. He let out a slow breath. Then stop waiting for them to choose you. I nodded. And in that moment, something inside me shifted. Something clicked. Like a lock turning. Like a line being drawn in permanent ink. Later that night, after Adrian had fallen asleep, I opened the folder I'd kept tucked away for months. The deed to the villa in Tuscany. My villa. 8 acres of olive trees, weathered stone walls, and an open courtyard that felt like it was built for honesty. I bought it after the company sold, part escape, part declaration. A place to belong even if no one ever gave me permission. Part of me had bought that villa just to have something that was mine, entirely mine. I never told my parents about it. Honestly, why would I? They never asked. As I scrolled through the photos, the golden hills, the long stone table beneath rows of lanterns, one thought hit me like a heartbeat. I could have a different kind of wedding here. Not some staged production. Not a comparison game. Just a gathering of people who showed up because they wanted to. I texted Rachel first. She called instantly. No hesitation. Please tell me you're not canceling, she said. No, I told her. Just moving it. To where? Tuscany. She didn't even pause. Send me the date. I'll handle the family. By the next morning, our group chat lit up. Eli was already booking flights. Aunt Marion asked about places to stay. Uncle Ray offered to help with setup. No one mentioned my parents. No one had to. Meanwhile, Kendra was busy on Instagram, posting a wedding countdown. -5 days until forever. My parents flooded her comments with hearts and exclamation marks. Not a single message to me. But this time it didn't hurt. It just made everything clear. The next few days I was deep in finalizing the courtyard layout, mapping out the long table stretching beneath the olive trees, placing lanterns where they glow like fireflies after sunset. The villa came alive with sound, workers sanding stone, trimming branches, stringing lights. Every scrape of a ladder, every knock of a hammer, felt like a vow I was keeping to myself. I wasn't out to ruin their wedding. I wasn't looking for approval. I was rewriting the story. The collapse of what we used to call family didn't leave a hole. It created space. Space for something real. And Tuscany was the beginning of me taking that space back. The morning of both weddings arrived, and it felt like the sun itself had picked sides. In Boston it was harsh blazing white, almost cold in how sharp it looked. In Tuscany it spilled across the hills like warm honey. I woke before dawn, the villa still quiet, the stone floor cool under my bare feet as I stepped onto the terrace. The olive trees shimmered in the light, their leaves whispering softly, reminding me, "This is your home, your choice, your table." Out in the courtyard, the team moved gently through the morning calm, adjusting lanterns, smoothing linens across the long table that pointed toward the grove. Everything looked rooted, ancient but new, exactly the life I wanted to walk into. Boston was a different story. Eli sent me a photo, rows of empty chairs in the hotel ballroom, the kind wrapped in white covers to hide how bare they really were. He captioned it, "This is going to blow up soon." Then Rachel sent one. A picture of my parents standing by the entrance, dressed like a magazine cover, but their smiles tight, uneasy. No one from the extended family had shown up. Not one. Kendra kept checking the planner's tablet, refreshing the guest list again and again, her expression growing stiffer each time. "They must be running late," she told her fiancé. But even she didn't sound convinced. Back in Tuscany, guests started arriving, their faces lit up from the journey, their energy warm and buzzing. Grandma Elise walked in wearing a soft blue dress, her silver hair pinned back with the olive branch I had set on her vanity that morning. She cupped my face in her hands. "My girl," she whispered. "Look at you. Look how far you've come." My throat tightened. Every part of me wanted to hold on to that moment. Because love that shows up feels different. It brings weight, presence, truth. As the sun climbed higher, the courtyard filled with voices I knew by heart. Rachel was wrangling her kids with a laugh. Uncle Ray chatted with the musicians like they were old friends, and Aunt Marion walked the edge of the vineyard, snapping photos like the place was sacred. For the first time in my life, I wasn't a footnote. I wasn't a backup plan. I was the center, not because anyone twisted themselves to make it that way, but because I'd built a world that didn't require anyone to twist at all. Back in Boston, the ceremony was minutes from starting. Kendra stood at the top of the aisle, bouquet trembling in her hands. The wedding planner paced behind her, trying to stay calm. "Where is everyone?" she hissed. Her fiancé just shrugged, helpless. My parents stood nearby, trying to smile like everything was fine. And then it happened. Rachel sent a photo to the family group chat. The same one everyone had muted years ago but still peeked into out of habit. The picture showed me stepping into the courtyard, sunlight catching the silk of my dress. Behind me, guests stood beneath grapevines, lanterns glowing like stars caught in a net. Tuscany wrapped around us like a dream in full bloom. In seconds, more photos followed. Eli snapped a shot of the long table, wildflowers twisted into the stone arch. One showed Grandma Elise laughing, hands thrown into the air. Then a video, Adrian taking my hand, his voice calm and certain as he said his vows. And somewhere in that Boston ballroom, someone gasped loud enough for everyone to hear. My mother went pale. Her hand gripped my father's sleeve so hard he flinched. "They're all in Italy," she whispered to Kendra. Kendra's bouquet slipped. Her breath caught in her throat. And in that one moment, for the first time ever, she realized the world didn't orbit her. My dad's jaw tightened. He scanned the half-empty room, stunned. "Why didn't anyone say they weren't coming?" he asked. "Because they didn't owe you that," I thought miles away. They owed it to themselves to choose where they wanted to be. In Tuscany, I didn't know the exact second their ceremony fell apart. But I felt it. Right after my vows, a stillness passed through the courtyard. Not sadness, something more like release. Like the last thread tying me to that version of family I used to beg for had finally gently snapped. After the ceremony, we made our way toward the long table under the vines. Laughter floated in the warm air. Wine was passed hand to hand. Glasses clinked. The sky melted into a deep amber, lanterns flickering on one by one. The scent of rosemary and fresh bread drifted through the evening. Adrian leaned toward me. "They know, don't they?" I nodded. "They're seeing the life they never asked about," I said. "And the life you chose instead of waiting for them," he added. But it wasn't revenge. Not really. It was truth, served quietly, lovingly. in the shape of a wedding they never imagined I could create. Halfway through dinner, my phone buzzed. A message from my dad. Is this where you are? Then from my mom. Why didn't you tell us you had a place like this? And from Kendra. Is this some kind of joke? I placed the phone face down. Rachel gave me a look. They're spiraling, huh? Probably, I said. You okay? I glanced down the table at the candlelight dancing across linen and glass, across the faces of people who chose to be there, who chose me. I've never been more okay. Back in Boston, things kept unraveling. A guest whispered a little too loud. Didn't her family used to be huge? Another asked, why is everyone in Italy? Someone held up their phone, showing a photo of my villa with a caption that read, Amber's wedding, Tuscany. My mom sat down hard, hand pressed to her chest. My dad pinched the bridge of his nose, rubbing slow circles at his temples. The planner gave the signal to start the band. But even the music couldn't fill the silence. Kendra stood in front of a glass door, staring at her reflection. Flawless makeup, designer dress, every detail perfect. But in that moment, she was completely alone. Alone in the event she built her entire identity around. And then she said it. Not with anger, not in tears, just the truth, low and raw. Everyone chose her. While their night unraveled, mine unfolded like a bloom. Soft strings drifted through the warm Tuscan air. Adrian leaned in and whispered something about forever. Grandma dabbed her eyes. Rachel's kids danced barefoot between the pools of lantern light. Every moment felt like a stitch pulling something broken back together. Later that night, we lit candles along the grove. I caught myself looking out toward the horizon, not with longing but with finality. The family I had spent years trying to win over had never really been mine. But the people surrounding me now, the ones clapping, laughing, raising their glasses, this family was built on something real. Not blood, not guilt, but choice. Close to midnight, my phone lit up one last time. A message from my mom. I hope you're happy. I didn't reply. Not out of spite. Just because I finally knew. Happiness doesn't need their permission. And in that quiet, beneath the soft hum of Tuscany at night, surrounded by those who chose to be here, I took the deepest breath I'd drawn in years. Their story ended in collapse. Mine peaked in freedom. The next morning something felt different. Tuscany itself felt lighter, like the villa had exhaled with me. Sunlight scattered through the olive branches, casting gold over the courtyard stones still dusted with petals from the night before. Grandma Elise sat beside me on the terrace, both hands wrapped around a warm mug. You built something beautiful, she said. Not just last night. Your life. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that until the words landed. My phone buzzed nonstop. Messages from my parents, scattered apologies, awkward attempts. Kendra said she felt blindsided. Dad asked when we could talk. But none of it felt urgent anymore. Their choices had already said everything. What mattered now was the family I chose to carry forward. So I replied to just one message. Rachel's. We're staying 2 more days. Breakfast. I wrote back. Always. Adrian came up behind me, slid an arm around my waist. Whatever comes next, he said. You're not facing it alone. And for the first time I didn't just hear it. I believed it. Not because he said it, but because he'd already shown it when it counted. The aftermath didn't feel like chaos. Felt like clarity. Quiet, steady, and mine. In the end, I learned something simple. Family isn't who shares your name. Family is who shows up when your heart is on the line. I stopped begging for a seat at their table. I built my own. And the right people found it. If this story stayed with you, share it. Tell me where you're listening from. And hit subscribe for the next one.